Good day, Sir Marquez. We are from B and first year morning session presenting our semifinal video report assignment about Dr. Jose Rizal's life. In chapter 1, we would able to know the personal details of Jose, commonly known as Dr. Jose P. Rizal, the national hero of the Philippines. Dr. Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado Alonso Irrialondo is his full name. He is a unique example of many splendor genius. He is the man of skills. In chapter 1 indicates the details of Rizal's family, including his parents and sibling. Jose have one brother and 9 sisters. As we picture out the Rizal's home, they belong to a good and middle-class family. They are happy and simple, living contentedly. In chapter 2, it talks about childhood years in Calamba. Jose loved Calamba with all of his heart and soul. He wrote "An recuerdo a mi pueblo," which means in the memory of my town. The first sorrow of the hero was the death of his sister Concha. Jose grew up in a good Catholic. At the age of 3, he began to take part in the family prayer. Rizal revealed his God-given talent for art, sketching, and sculpture talents. He also possessed a God-given for literature at the age of 8. He wrote Sa Aking Mga Kababata, his first poem in the native language. He also wrote his first dramatic work, which was in Tagalog comedy. Jose shows interest in magic. He read many books about magic. During our childhood, we have lots of time to enjoy, but in the case of Jose is different from us. Jose is very responsible and intelligent person.
Chapter 3 Early Education in Calamba and Binyan. The hero first teacher was her mother. On June 1869, Rizal sent to Binyan. Rizal met his maestro Justiniano Aquino Cruz in first day school. Jose made record on his methodological life in Binyan. Also, Jose is best student in school. Jose left Binyan on December 17, 1870, his first passage of steamer Talim. Gomborza in 1872, he promised he will fight the evil of Spanish tyranny and with them him oppressed people. Chapter 4 Scholastic Triumphs at Ateneo de Manila 1872-1877. Rizal's other teachers was Maestro Celestino, Maestro Lucas Padu, an old man named Leon Monroy, former classmate of Rizal's father. Leon Monroy instructed Rizal in Spanish and Latin. Unfortunately, he did not live long. He died 5 months later. Early schooling of Jose Rizal in Binyan and his teacher in Binyan was Justiniano Aquino Cruz. Chapter 5 Medical Studies at University of Santo Tomas 1877-1882. After completing his 4th year of medical course in the University of Santo Tomas, Rizal decided to continue his study in Spain. Rizal boarded the Salvadora on May 3, 1882. On May 19, Rizal decided to stay at Hotel de la Paz. On May 11, 1882, Rizal transfers to Gemna. On May 17, the Gemna reached Point Galim. Suez Canal, the next stop over. Naples, June 11, Rizal reached Naples. June 12, steamer docked French harbor of Marseilles. June 15, 1882, train going to Barcelona. November 3, 1882, Rizal enrolled in Universidad Central de Madrid. June 1883, Rizal left Madrid to visit Paris. March 1883, Rizal joined the Masonic Lodge. Rizal left Paris on February 7, 1886. October 29, 1886, left Leipzig. November 1, left Dresden by the train reaching Berlin. Noli Me Tangere published in Berlin. Thank you.
Chapter 6 In Sunny Spain, 1882 to 1885. Secret departure in Spain. He used name Jose Mercado, a cousin from Binan. On May 3, 1882, Rizal departed on board the Spanish steamer Salvadora bound for Singapore. On May 9, 1882, Rizal landed, registered, and spent 2 days at Hotel de la Paz. On May 11, French was mostly spoken on board because it was French vessels. Majority of the passengers were French speaking. During his first summer vacation in Madrid, Rizal went to Paris, sojourning his gay capital of France from June 17 to August 20, 1883. Rizal also finished his studies in philosophy and letters with higher grades. He was awarded the degree of Licentiate in Philosophy and Letters by Universidad Central de Madrid on June 19, 1885, his 24th birthday, which rating of excellence. Chapter 7, Paris to Berlin, 1885 to 1887. In Gay Paris, 1885-86, Rizal, who was then 24 years old and already a physician, in November 1885, Rizal was living in Paris. He worked as an assistant to Dr. Louis D. Recard, 1852 to 1906. The death of Cleopatra, Rizal passed an Egyptian priest on February 1, 1886, for Germany. Rizal spent on 3 months summer vacation in Wilhelmsfield, a mountainous village near in Heidelberg. Beautiful memories of the Ulmer's friendship and hospitality of following day. He wrote the Pastor Ulmer expressing his gratitude. On August 9, 1886, 3 days after the 5th century celebration of the University of Heidelberg, Rizal starved in Berlin ship in ventricle. His heat broke down due to lack of proper nourishment. He began to cough, and his fear that he was going back to be sick with tuberculosis. Never had he suffered such physical blows of penury, so that his soul cried out in despair.
Let us talk about Noli Me Tangere, published in Berlin, 1887. Noli Me Tangere, Latin for Touch Me Not, is a novel by Filipino writer and activist Jose Rizal and was published during the Spanish colonial period of the Philippines. On March 21, 1887, the Noli Me Tangere came off the press. Rizal friends hailed the novel and praising it in glowing colors with the help of his friend Dr. Maximo Viola. Dr. Maximo Viola, he is a scion of rich family in San Miguel, Bulacan. He is known as the best friend of Jose Rizal in Europe. He is also the savior of the Noli, and he also agreed to finance the printing cost of the Noli Mitangere. But as to be expected, not everyone was happy about the success of Nobil, because Rizal's enemies condemned it. So moving on, after the publication of Noli, Rizal planned to visit important places in Europe. He was accompanied of his friend Dr. Maximo Viola. The grand tour of Rizal and Viola in Europe started at the dawn of May 11, 1887. They left Berlin and started their journey. They visited the places where Rizal met the good people who helped him, motivated him, and became his good friends. One of them is Dr. Adolf Meyer, Professor Blumentritt, Dr. Wilcom, and many more. After that, Rizal decided to return to the Philippines in August 1887, and on August 8, he finally returned to Calamba, where his hometown. But unfortunately, Rizal didn't stay long in his hometown. One day, Governor General Terrero summoned Rizal and advised him to leave the Philippines for his own good. He was giving Rizal a chance to escape the fury of Friar's wrath. This time Rizal had to go. He could not very well disobey the Governor General's veiled orders. He was compelled to leave Calamba for two reasons. His presence in Calamba was jeopardizing the safety and happiness of his family and friends, and he could fight better his enemies and serve his country's cause with greater efficacy by writing in for.
Chapter 11 in Hong Kong and Macau, 1888. Rizal, hounded by the powerful enemies, Rizal was forced to leave his country for a second time in February 1888. On February 2, 1888, after a short stay of 6 months in Calamba, Rizal left Manila for Hong Kong on board the Sapiro. He did not get off his ship when it made stopover at Amoy on February 7. On February 8, Rizal arrived at Hong Kong. He stayed at Victoria Hotel. A Spaniard, Jose Sainz de Miranda, who was a former secretary of Governor General Terrero, shadowed Rizal movement in Hong Kong. On February 18, Rizal, accompanied by Jose Maribasa, moored at a ferry steamer Kokiang for Macau. Macau is a Portuguese colony near Hong Kong. During the stay of Rizal in Macau, he visited casino, cathedral, and churches, pagodas, and botanical garden and bazaars. On February 20, Rizal and Basa returned to Hong Kong again on board the steamer Kokiang. On February 22, 1888, Rizal left Hong Kong on board the Oceanic American steamer. His destination was Japan. He cabin-mate British Protestant missionary who have lived in China for 27 years and know the Chinese language very well. Rizal called him Goodman. Chapter 12, Romantic Interlude in Japan. Early in the morning of Tuesday, February 28, 1888, Rizal arrived at Yokohama. He registered at a Grand Hotel, and the next day he proceeded to Tokyo and took room in Tokyo Hotel, where he stayed at March 2 to 7. Shortly after Rizal's arrival in Tokyo, the secretary of the Spanish legation, Juan Perez Caballero, visited him at the hotel. The latter invited him to live in the Spanish legation. Rizal, as a good and intelligent man, accepted the invitation. A few days after he had moved to the Spanish legation in the Azoba district of Tokyo, Rizal saw a pretty Japanese girl walking past. The name of the girl is Seiko Osai. Rizal called the girl Usi-san. The girl improved Rizal's knowledge in Nippongo Japanese language. The affection of Rizal almost tempted him to settle down in Japan. On April 3, 1888, Rizal boarded at Belgique, an English steamer at Yokohama bound for the United States. His sojourn in Japan for 45 days was the happiest interludes in his life. Despite his soaring heart, Rizal enjoyed the pleasant trans-Pacific voyage to the United
Hello everyone, this is my part on Jose Rizal's life. In Chapter 13, Rizal's visit the United States. Rizal first saw America on April 28, 1888. His arrival in this great country was marred by racial prejudice. On Friday afternoon, May 4, 1888, Rizal was permitted to go ashore. May 6, 1888, Sunday, 4:30, Rizal left San Francisco for Oakland. And Sunday morning, May 13, Rizal reached New York. He stayed 3 days in this city, which he called the Big Town. May 16, 1888, he left New York for Liverpool on board the City of Rome. In Chapter 14, Rizal in London. May 25, 1888, a day after locking at Liverpool, Rizal went to London. Successus de las Islas Filipinas. Historical events of the Philippines Asociación La Solidaridad. Solidaridad Association was inaugurated on December 31, 1888. With Galiciano Apacible, President, Graciano Lopez Jaina, Vice President, Manuel Santamaria, Secretary, Mariano Ponce, Treasurer, Josima Panganiban, Accountant. Rizal wrote a letter addressed to the members of Asociación La Solidaridad on January 28, 1889. On February 15, 1889, Graciano Lopez Jaina founded a patriotic newspaper called La Solidaridad in Barcelona, where he was then residing. Romance with Gertrude Beckett. Rizal affectionately called her Getty, and reciprocation, she fondly called him Petty. March 19, 1889, Rizal bade goodbye to the kind Beckett family, particularly Beckett. He left London to Paris. That's all.
Good morning, everyone, and especially to you, sir. I introduce myself. I'm Rehana Gyapal Alano, BE Ed 1 morning session. The video reporting about life Rizal's. Paris in the spring of 1889 was bursting with gaiety and excitement because of the Universal Exposition. Thousands of visitors from all comers of the world crowded every hotel in a boarding house. Rizal, fresh from London, was caught in the work a gay Parisian life. On January 28, 1890, Rizal left Paris for Vazel's capital of Belgium, two reasons impelled Rizal to leave Paris, namely, number one, the cost of living was very high because of the universal exposition. And number two, the gay social life in the city hampered his literary works, especially the writing of his second novel, El Filibusterismo. New orthography of Tagalog language. In spite of his European education in his knowledge of foreign languages, Rizal loved his own native language. He was first to advocate the Philippinizations of its orthography, like for instance, the Tagalog letters K and W should be used instead of the Spanish C and O, like solakot, tasalakot, and arrow to arrow.
Rizal took a vacation on the resort city of Biarritz on the fabulous French Riviera on February 1891. He had been friended with Mr. Eduardo Bosted, together with his wife and two charming daughters, on Paris in 1889 to 90. The month of vacation, Biarritz for wonders for Rizal. His soaring heart began to sing once more with joy and remarkable swiftness. In his vacation, he found a real Filipina, highly intelligent, vivacious in temperament, and morally upright. Rizal courted Nelly, who, in turn, reciprocated his affection. But Rizal failed his marriage proposal for two reasons. First, he refused to give up his Catholic faith and be contented to Protestantism. And second, Nelly's mother did not like Rizal as a son-in-law. Years later, when he was living in exile in Dapitan, he refuted Father Pablo Pastel's accusation that he is Protestant. Rizal and Nelly parted as a good friend. On March 29, 1891, the eve of Rizal's departure from Biarritz to Paris, and he finished manuscript of El Filibusterismo. On March 30, 1891, Rizal bade farewell to the Bosted family and proceeded to Paris to train, and stayed to his friend Valentin Ventura on Rue de Château-d'Eau from Paris. From Paris, he wrote to Jose Mabasta in Hong Kong on April 4, expressing his desire to go to British colony and practice ophthalmology. By the middle of April 1891, Rizal was back Brussels, where he was happily received by Marie and Susanne Jacobi and
This is my part of his life and works. In Chapter 19, El Filibusterismo, published in Gent, 1891. On July 5, 1891, Rizal left Brussels for Gent, a famous university city in Belgium. On August 5, the printing had to be suspended as Rizal feared because he could no longer give the necessary fund to the printer. An expected source, Valentin Ventura. At last, on September 18, 1891, El Filibusterismo came off the press. Noli and Pili compared. The Noli is a romantic novel. It is a work of art. On the other hand, the Pili is political novel. It is a work of head. In Chapter 20, Ophthalmic Surgeon in Hong Kong, 1891 to 1892. After the publication of the El Filibusterismo, Rizal left Europe for Hong Kong, where he lived from November 1891 to June 1892. On October 3, 1891, 2 weeks after the publication of Pili, Rizal arrived in Hong Kong.
on November 20, 1891. Family reunion in Hong Kong before Christmas of 1891. He was glad by the arrival of his father, brother, and Silvestri. Although in Hong Kong, not long afterwards, his mother and sister, Lucia, Josepa, and Trinidad also arrived. Ophthalmic surgeon in Hong Kong. Rizal practiced medicine a Portuguese physician, Dr. Lorenzo P. Marquez, and recognition of Rizal's skills as an ophthalmic surgeon. In due time, Dr. Rizal became successful. Writings in Hong Kong. The most important writings made by Rizal during his Hong Kong sojourn. In May 1892, Rizal made up to his mind to return Manila. On June 19, 1892, he spent his 31st birthday in Hong Kong. On June 21, 1892, Rizal penned another letter in Hong Kong for Governor Disposal.
Contrast between the two leading woman characters is throughout this chapter. The fact of the Vida once regarded Dr. Kincaid as the sweetheart revived for the first time. This information sheds new light Vida's attitude toward Carol from the beginning of their acquaintance. Naturally, Vida utterly loved and hated Carol. Lewis says that Vida is the reformer a level, and Carol revolutionist and radical both have been career women. Their early home backgrounds were different, but their education is dissimilar since both have attended Sentimenus College. Vida, in the spirit of the academic training of the teaching experience of delighted with home life, its cross Carol find them name. Authors in the heyday at that time also mentioned the Anatole France, Romain, Ronald H. G. Well, Edgar Lee, Masters, Theodora Dreiser, Sherwood Anderson, H. L. Mencken. So not considered survived now they were the socialists, the realists, and the philosophers of the World War period. To be relictual, intellectual in the Grapper Pereer, how, however, is to be progress and the views virtue and Grapper Pereer, according to Lewis, is typical of the Pereer tones. World War provides the background of chapter 23, its preside protism, it hits and produces, and its disillusionment, young men all over the nation flock to the training campus and typical figures emerge from the non-combinant background, notably Grapper Perez' favorite and amazingly wealthy son, revived business, Birsinehan, and self-importance are apparent to Carol, yet she values his admiration of her and mentally compare him with her husband to be this fragment of Dr. Kincaid. Thank you.
Chapter 24, Rizal's Last Homecoming and Trial. A martyr's last homecoming. Since leaving Barcelona on Tuesday, October 6, 1896, Rizal recorded the event in his diary. Giving a good Kevin in the second class, strictly guarded but continuously treated by the officer. On October 8, a friendly officer told Rizal the Madrid newspapers were full of stories about the bloody revolution in the Philippines and were blaming him for it. Consification of Rizal's diary. The Spanish known that Rizal was keeping track of the daily events in his diary. There were queries what were recorded in his diary. Suspicion varied but made desirous his rating. On October 11, before reaching the port said Rizal's diary was taken away from him. Nothing dangerous was found in the contents of the diary. November 2, the diary was returned to him, Rizal not able to recorded the events from Monday, October 12 to Sunday, November 1. Chapter 25, Martyrdom at Bagong Bayan. On December 26, 1896, he was found guilty in rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy. Captain Rafael Dominguez read to him the court verdict that he would be shot at the back at 7 a.m. the next day of Bagong Bayan, also known as Rizal Park. Father Batalier returned to Fort Santiago and discussed with Rizal about his retraction of the anti-Catholic ideas in his writing and membership of Mansanuri.